Welcome to Empowering Paths by Meshrik, a podcast where we step behind the scenes to uncover the moments that shape empowering journeys, not just the triumphs, but the grit, the sparks that make the rise possible. Our first episode explores the power of embracing diversity, and joining us today is someone whose story has inspired not only his country, but the world. He's a motivational speaker, an advocate of people of determination, and the face of resilience at the 2022 FIFA World Cup opening ceremony. A young leader who continues to prove that nothing is impossible when you believe in your purpose. Please welcome Ghanim al-Muftah. How are you?
I'm very good, doing
Welcome.
very good.
Welcome.
I'm really happy to be here, and I'm looking forward for this podcast.
Dude, I'm really this is a big deal for me to do this conversation with you, because we were talking before about how through the world of social media, you feel like you know people before you even meet them, right? In what
You're
we
right,
do.
yes.
And before I've even met you, you've actually made me cry twice in life.
Really?
Yes, and we'll get to that later.
Okay.
But I feel like the best way to to tell your story would be to kind of take it right back to when you were young, right? And your childhood and how that experience was for you growing up.
Nice question. See, as a child, I basically learned to move using my hands. It wasn't easy. I would lie if I said it's easy, but at least I found a way, to play with my twin brother Ahmed. Some kids called me Snake, not out of cruelty, but because they didn't understand. See, I knew I was different, but I also knew that I could fully live with my disability. Others didn't see that. They stared, pitied, or feared me. But I chose not to hide. And that was the start of my journey, to say to the world, I am here, I belong. And today I can say with gratitude, Alhamdulillah, God made me unique for a unique mission.
I think that's something that I really wanted to get into, because we all know that children can be brutal, and it's not coming from a place of that they want to be. They're just generally quite inquisitive. For example, a child, if he sees somebody with one arm, a young child, he's going to ask him, why do you have one arm?
Exactly.
It's not because he's trying
It's
to be
normal.
mean. He
Yes.
just wants to understand what's going on, right? So how did it feel? We understand that as adults, but obviously as a child, you don't understand that.
Yes, you're right.
You generally think why don't they like me, or it's coming from a mean way. So how did you deal with that kind of side of it, with your peers, with the people around you who are the same age as you, who are going through the same?
See, I even asked, like, you're right on what you said. Like, even I asked my mother, like, why am I not like others? Um, and uh, and I remember, going back home from school, crying, and then I said to my mother, like, kids, keep asking questions, they don't want to play with me, and she said, Ghanem, you can't change the whole world. You know, we can't change the whole world for you. You need to, accept yourself and um, go to them, approach them, answer their questions, show them what you're capable of. And really, second day I went and I answered their questions, and I showed them what I'm capable of. And until now, we're like best friends. People you know, who used to ask a lot of questions, and uh, they weren't they didn't they didn't want to play with me. Now we're like best friends. So
So your mother actually empowered you with a solution of how to do it. So
you're right.
I can imagine you going back to school that first day and you kind of like felt like a superhero. Like I have
Confident.
I have
Yes,
the
I have the
answers now.
answers.
Where
Yes.
before you were kind of left to your own devices and had to deal with it. How important for you was it to have your mother being Team Ghanim? I mean, any mother would be, right? But your mother went all out with that.
My mother always told me, God chooses the best for His servants. Her faith in God and her endless belief in my abilities planted a strength in me that is well rooted. My mother didn't stare and see my limitations. She basically shone a light on my unique abilities and talents. Like, she was and always will be my refuge and my light. And I have heard um, that darkness
Mm.
cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. That is my mother, my light. My mother fought for my dignity, and she basically shaped my future with her wisdom and love. I owe her everything.
That's incredible. we often say when we're looking back at our childhood, and we say, what do you think that young child, what would you have told that young child, knowing what you know now? What would you have told 8, 9-year-old Ghanim about his journey and his life, to give him that motivation or to give him that guidance on how things were going to pan out?
Last question. I'd say lift your head up. You're a sign of God's wisdom. Don't be sad, because one day the world will see you as a blessing, not as a burden.
Well,
It's a really nice question.
I'm going to give you another one. To flip that, what do you think 8-year-old Ghanim would say to you now, seeing what you've achieved and who you are as a man now?
Wow. I believe he'd say that, wow, you did a great job. You never gave up, and continue. You'll like. I'm so proud of you. So yeah, it's a really nice question.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got about 55 more for you coming
Okay.
up. So, like now, this, as you know, I'm going to go all over the place with this, up and down in different times, and we'll get to why you made me cry later, which we'll deal with. There's times in everyone's life where we kind of feel like the stress of the world is too much for us, and the burden of succeeding and being okay, because we're kind of taught, just get over it, everything's okay, things are going to be easy, we move on. Was there any time where you actually physically, mentally felt, I can't do this? Or was there any time where you felt that you weren't strong enough to?
I mean, of course, there were moments, when life felt heavy on me, and I basically asked myself, why am I not like others? But with every tear, I grew stronger. I believed that God was preparing me for something greater than my pain. Being different made me stand out, and standing out gave me a purpose. By basically embracing who I am, I found strength. I inspired others, and it gave meaning to my journey. And even now, I still face painful moments, but I rise again. After all, we're human.
Hmm.
So
No,
yeah.
that's incredible. I want to know, there must have been, in everyone's life, sometimes we have a eureka moment, a aha moment, where things change, the way we view ourselves, the way we the way we carry on with our everyday lives. Was there ever a specific moment that you can remember specifically, or was it a series of moments? And if you can go back to which one or
It's
5 they were that kind of led to that.
it's a series of moments, whether being um, bullied in school, or getting rejected from schools, and even I got rejected in more than one universities rejected me, not because of my grades, or it's just because I'm a person in a wheelchair. But and I would be honest with you. Of course, you get irritated, and you get sad, especially But I always remind myself, Ghanam, be patient. Uh, you're gonna get through this. You're gonna overcome these obstacles. It's something normal, And you're a strong guy, and don't give up. It's too early to give up.
100%. I want to take this 2 ways again with a double question. Tell me a moment where you really felt, I'm looking for the right words, where you felt most unseen, or most, that moment where you really noticed a reaction that didn't sit well with you. And then on the flip side of that, the one moment that comes to your mind now, which was your most powerful moment.
Being rejected from one of the universities, uh, which I only applied to. I didn't apply to any other
So
university.
that was the only one that you
There
wanted to
was,
go to.
yes, and I got rejected. I was surprised. they basically told me, we don't think you're gonna, pass the first term. Something weird university.
Mm.
I moved on, and after a few years, the same university that rejected me
Called you back for a speech.
called me back for a speech,
Yeah.
and I went and did the speech.
Nice. Like, even though they judged you, you didn't return the same judgment back on them.
Exactly.
Like, you understood, that things had to happen a certain way for a certain reason. Okay, when is that powerful moment? When did you have your Thanos moment where you were just like, I'm the king of the world?
When I did the speech.
Yeah, that same one.
When I was on stage.
Okay, tell me why you're hellbound on doing all of the sports in the world with the long distance and the marathons and all that stuff.
I love doing sports. I actually do scuba diving, swimming. Recently, I just finished a marathon. It's 5 kilometers marathon, but it's for my first time.
I don't know why
Um,
you said that. 1 kilometer marathon's long enough for me, let alone 5.
really?
Yeah, I don't like doing them.
No, I feel it's
Any
too easy.
endurance stuff is just, I'm just like,
Okay.
yeah.
Scuba diving, swimming, skateboarding, ice skating, um, a lot of sports. And I this year I decided, to do a marathon. I want to see my abilities, like if I was able to or no. Most of my friends were like, "Ghanem, how you're gonna do it? Like it's a 5 kilometers, and it's going to be hard on you. Like you're gonna take forever to finish it." So I was like preparing for it for like a whole month with a special trainer, and I set a goal that I'm going to finish this marathon in 25 minutes.
5K in 25 minutes.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
And the day came, and I finished the marathon in 27 minutes, which is something good.
That's
Yes.
already a crazy time, dude.
Yes.
Wow. And that's what you plan to do, just challenge yourself. Is every time you're going to set a challenge that's
Yes.
better than the last
exactly.
one. Now, let's talk about the first time you made me cry during the World Cup. And the second time today when I rewatched it in the car and I was just crying while driving down Sheikh
Okay.
Zayed Road. It was so incredible. I mean, there was a sense of pride to see the performance. And Morgan Freeman, I mean, that's a bucket list for a lot of people to even meet Morgan Freeman, let alone to go through a dialogue. Because he's known to be the voice, right? He's the voice of everything. For you, how did that feel for you doing that?
See, it was the greatest honor of my life. Especially representing Qatar at the most iconic World Cup, and just standing beside Morgan Freeman was a powerful moment. Qatar choice of a person with disability sent a global message, which is our voices matter.
Mm.
I spoke for 1 billion people, affirming, our rights to be seen, respected, and included. And above all, reciting a verse from the Holy Quran was a
Which
sacred
was such a
privilege.
suitable verse as well for what you were, for the whole message, right?
It was a sacred privilege, really. I can't forget this day.
I can't forget this day either. It was really, really incredible. And I can't get over how much you stole the show with the performance.
Thank you.
I also heard that you got sick just before that.
I don't know who told you about that.
Right? You got sick just before that, and still, against all odds, you were like, "There's no way that I'm gonna not do this." Do
Yes.
you want to talk about that a little bit too?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I got sick before the actual opening ceremony. Like, I got sick before 5 days of the actual ceremony, and I slept in the hospital for but I didn't tell anyone that I slept in the hospital. Even the team in the rehearsal, they don't know that I was sleeping in the hospital, because I was afraid to tell them, and probably they'll say, "Oh no, we're gonna change. We won't let you, do the opening ceremony because we want you to focus on your health." So I kept it secret. Um, I went to the hospital, and even I remember the doctor telling me, "Ghanem, like I told him, listen, I'm going to tell you a secret, but I want you to, like, I'm going to tell you to do this, and please, like, say yes. So basically, I told him that I'm going to do the opening ceremony, and he was like amazed and wow, but he said, Ghanem, like, how you're going to, like, leave the hospital, like, you're too sick, like, have a fever and an infection. And I was like, I totally agree with you. I give me any papers, I'm ready to sign them, but I need to do this. And it's not just representing my country, but I'm representing 1 billion people from people with disabilities. So I need to do this, and I handle the full responsibility. If anything happens or goes wrong, he was like, okay. They basically just brought papers. I signed them, and we adapted basically the antibiotics, like when I'm going to take them, and we were, alhamdulillah, we were able to manage even to my fever. And really, that day in the opening ceremony, I was like praying the whole night before that, like, I don't want to have a fever the second day. I want to do the opening ceremony, and then that's fine with me. So alhamdulillah, I didn't have any fever. I was I had strength. I had the energy, to go and do the opening ceremony. And after the opening ceremony, then I went back to the hospital, and then I told them, then I'm done. You can do whatever you need to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Man, again, that's just a testament to your grit and resolve and determination to just get things done that you've promised yourself that you're going to do, which is, I just find just incredible and so inspirational. I want to talk a little bit about your relationship with Ahmed. I don't know if this is talked about a lot or enough, but the saying, not all heroes wear capes. And let's talk about how you feel about your relationship with Ahmed and what he means to you.
so as I told you, he basically completes me. He's the man behind all the success. He's behind everything basically. Um, we basically complete each other, and I can't thank him enough. And I do basically apologize, if I stress him sometimes, because he basically even gives me my medical stuff, and he manages my social media, my whole work. He's behind everything, and that means a lot to me. And I wish him all the best in everything, and I will never forget what he has done to me. And I'm really blessed to have him as a brother.
You've inspired millions of people around the world. 7.1 million. Who inspires you?
See, I wouldn't choose a public figure or someone I have read about in books. I choose those who I've lived with, who have raised me, and from whom I have learned deepest life lessons. My mother, my father, my brother, my sister. Their presence shaped who I am more than any public figure ever could. So yeah.
It's very interesting. I read a quote, I think it was yesterday, and the quote said, sometimes succeeding in your life is not something that you do, but someone that you raise.
You're right.
So I think that's a very relevant quote to the situation now. I want to talk about social media and when you decided to actually, open up, because before you didn't have the social media or
You're
anything.
right.
What was the turning point where you decided, I can actually inspire people and I want to actually start documenting this journey?
See, I decided to show myself to the world just as I am. In fact, my mother wrote a book about me called "I Am Here," and I started sharing my story with family, friends, in school, in the community, at conferences, through books, interviews. Um, People responded not staring anymore, but with open arms. love. Then I realized this is my message. It was basically a simple shift. I stopped focusing on what I was lacking and started embracing on what God gave me, a voice, a purpose, and the story.
I think that inclusivity is a really interesting thing, especially with younger children. So I was very empathetic to these things because when I grew up in school, my best friend, Leanne, she had Down syndrome. And I always, because we grew up together, I had that protector thing where if anyone made fun of her, because I spent so much time with her that she was my friend. And I didn't understand why people didn't see that. And the same thing, I had two brothers. I learned sign language because both the brothers were deaf. And again, I had the same feeling. So when I grew up, I was very empathetic to our uniqueness as a people. I feel a lot of people don't get that, where they're not put in that situation from a young age, which is why, for example, I have a lot of friends. One of my friends, he's a bodybuilding champion, but he has no legs.
Wow.
So the first thing that I wanted to do is to take my children to go and meet him so they could ask questions and they could see the inspiration that he is, kind of thing. So I think we need to kind of change the way from a young age, the awareness,
You're right.
right?
I totally agree. I totally agree on what you're saying.
And now, joining us in conversation is a woman who turned personal challenge into collective change. She's the founder of Stutter UAE, an initiative that gives voice and confidence to those who stutter and beyond. From navigating years of silence to becoming a voice of strength for her community. Please welcome Farah Al-Qaissieh. Welcome, ya hala.
Ahlin, thank you for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. Farah, tell me a little bit more about yourself, your initiative, and what inspired you to create your organization to help people who stutter?
So I'm a person who stutters. I grew up with a stutter, and it has been quite a lonely experience growing up with a stutter, even though I had my younger brother who shared that stutter with me. But it's almost felt like it's only the two of us in the world. And I really wanted to, my whole life, I knew I wanted to do something for people who stutter, but I wasn't sure what it was or how it's going to look like, especially with the experiences that I faced and my brother faced growing up, especially in school. Um, but there was something that just clicked when I met somebody else who stutters outside the circle of the family. And we both realized that by simply talking about our stutter, we feel lighter with how we look towards it. And that's kind of the basis of why I started this. Uh, why I started the stutter community for people who stutter to kind of meet, interact, and connect with one another.
Wow, that's incredible. I heard somewhere in the grapevine that when you initially first reached out to people and you set out the bat signal, I want to meet up with people who are just like me, and nobody turned up.
Yep.
How did that feel for you?
Um,
And what was that experience like?
so I remember when I first came up with the idea, I was excited, eager to meet others who stutter. And for probably the 8, 9 months of our monthly meetings, not a single person would show up. Somebody did show up, all dressed up in a suit and with their briefcase, and I'm here to give a presentation about X, Y, and Z. And we're like, that's not what we're here for. Oh, sorry, packed up his stuff and left.
Oh.
Um, it was very, very difficult. And I don't remember, honestly, how I reacted in those moments, but I was having a conversation with my sister who reminded me that I came back one day with tears in my eyes, full of frustration for not being able to live or see the vision that I had in my mind play out in reality. And my mom, her, my family, they were all trying to kind of console me, like, Farah, it's okay, you know, like, you tried. It's the intention that matters. Even if nobody shows up, you tried. My sister was telling me I refuse to take that as an answer. I'm like, no, I'm going to keep going. Someday someone will show up. Because I had to remind myself that when I was in their space, where I was afraid to admit that I stutter, afraid to show myself as a person who stutters, I wouldn't have one.
Mm.
So I needed to kind of take myself back into that space and figure out what works for us here in order to bring them out of this place.
Wow, Ghanim, that must have been kind of important for you as well, because as we grow up, through the history of time, we as a human people, we look for what's similar or familiar to us
Yeah.
to actually feel like we belong to something. Did you have similar things where you wanted to find other people who were similar to you, or was it easily available, or no?
It wasn't easily available at first, especially like I was born 2002. So these days, um, people with basically people with disability, were shy to show themselves to the public because they were scared, like how people look at them, how will people, react. They weren't confident. So and then my family and I, we decided, to basically change this, like even, like especially like the problem that we used to face, like navigating, societal perception, stigma, and even, self acceptance, are difficult hurdles. I mean, that's the way people see us. We don't want, pity. We want understanding. We don't want charity. We want, justice. And as I mentioned, previously, I believe, the key is to have, supportive environment and inclusive communities, and yeah.
Yeah, and I believe especially in the GCC, they're very big on inclusion. You only need to see on Instagram people who are just blown away by certain beaches we have here where you have wheelchair access
You're right.
down
Yeah.
into the water. And it's very rare when you travel around the world that you find a whole, region that is so accessible towards that. What kind of challenges we'll start with you, Farah, are you still facing right now?
Our difference is mostly invisible unless we speak. So one of the challenges that I personally still face is navigating the days where my stutter would be more than what I'm typically used to. And that just can take me to a dark place because no matter how much we progress, we always have those ups and downs. And the challenge that leads me to is how, if I've reached that level of acceptance of myself as a person who stutters, as a mother who stutters, and still have those dark moments, what is it that I can, through the stutter community, offer people who stutter, their families, on navigating those dark moments and helping families realize that having a child who stutters is not their fault.
Mm.
I think that's one of the biggest things that parents come to me with. And that's a challenge that I'm trying to shed light onto, and without having the parents feel they're responsible to protect their child from the stigma that still exists.
Yeah, as a parent as well, there was I think every child goes through this, but there was a period where the twins I'm not sure if it was a full stutter or a stammer, I'm not sure the difference, but they wouldn't finish their words and
Yeah.
they'd get stuck on it. And I remember the one thing that the doctor was telling us, it was don't finish their sentence for them. That's the
Exactly.
worst thing that you could do. And don't try, let them, you
Yeah.
know, finish their sentence, let them get to it eventually by themselves, because you don't want them to feel like they can't express themselves,
Yeah.
right? So
Or they're rushed.
yeah, or they're rushed to do
Yeah.
it, and which actually under pressure made it even worse,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Ghanim, what about yourself? What kind of things are you you find still challenging now?
It's basically how the people see us, which is navigating societal perception or stigma or even self acceptance. Um, you know, I believe we can promote a society that values diversity and inclusion for all.
Do you remember the King's speech?
I do.
I love that moment in there. Is there any part of that that was special to you because it was something where, like, you were seen in the movies,
Yeah.
right? Like sometimes, like we said, it's kind of brushed aside kind of thing. So to see somebody with a stutter in, a huge Hollywood movie, how did that feel to kind of see that there?
It's definitely overwhelming, and it gave us a voice. We were heard, we were seen, and I think many people who stutter related so much to the internal struggles that the king experienced um, th- throughout his life. But it was definitely a defining moment for me and
Mm.
many people who stutter.
There was also, I don't know if you saw it, an incredible video of a teacher who he had a student that had a stutter, and he also taught him to put headphones on and listen to music um, while he was doing his end of year speech at
Hmm.
school. And it was just a beautiful thing to see
Yeah.
as well. How does that actually work when it comes to that? I'm quite interested in the mechanics behind.
So, in more recent research, it's been proven that stuttering is a neurodivergence. So the way our mind operates is slightly different,
Mm.
and in general, our brains process speech differently than they would singing or music or any of those other more creative aspects. So that's why you'll find many people who stutter would stutter when they speak, but if they were to sing or read Quran or anything, they
Mm.
would either not stutter or stutter much less because they're operating different parts of their brain.
Mm. And how important is it to you to have a safe space and a community for people?
Um, it's everything, honestly. For me, growing up, I didn't have that. I kind of created it in the safety of my home, with my family, with my brother. But the moment I would step out, it was always what's going to be people's reactions today.
Mm.
Um, and through that journey, when I interact with other people who stutter, it made me really realize we don't necessarily need things to be sophisticated and fancy and over the top. We just want a space where we're heard, we're supported, seen
Mm.
beyond the way that we speak.
Mm. And it's incredible to be able to actually take on that role and be be there for the
Mm.
people where you didn't have that at your age. And I mean, for both of you, your experiences now is so important, right? To be able to share your experience with other people who didn't have anything similar to the experience that you guys could share. So how important is it for you guys to kind of share these core values and beliefs and, with the next generation ahead?
So it's really important to deliver this strong message, um, and I would love always to say to the next generation, you know, and you might say, Ghanem, you're repeating this, but it's so important to say it again. It's like, have faith in God and in yourself. Challenges, that may seem um, hard to understand or basically unfair are not in vain. They might be shaping something greater, whether it's personal growth or compassion or even resilience.
With every hardship comes ease.
Exactly, right.
And Farah?
Definitely faith in God and embracing our differences. I think in today's world, we're trying to all fit into either a trend, a path, or something, and being able to stay true to who you are uh, at at your core without trying to kind of fit into societal box really you helps you shine.
Mm.
And I find myself falling into that situation sometimes, and I have to go back to
Mm.
why did I start all of this? What was the purpose? And once I'm realigned with that, things seem to flow more easily. So I think it's important for us to be able to um, embrace our differences and realize that being different really is something to celebrate.
Mm. I think it's just a testament to you guys. Incredible what you could share. I mean, I asked Ghanem the question about his brother and having him around. How do you feel, like you said, with your brother? And I'm assuming that it was a huge help to him that you had the experience,
Yeah.
right? How was the relationship there?
So my brother is 2 years younger than me. So by default, I was always the one like trying to protect him and making sure that he doesn't have any of those um, moments where the moments that I've experienced because of my stutter. Um, we were oof, we were very very close, and this year marks 10 years from losing him.
Marhaba.
And it was very difficult for me to continue on the journey of the stutter community after his passing. Because it felt like something I wanted to do with him. But only 2 years after starting the initiative, and we're still setting things up, um, his journey on earth ended. But there was so much learning, there was so much that helped me carry forward. And I remember a big part of why I continue doing what I do is him saying that at the time he was studying in New York City, and he kept saying, I wish there was something like this for us in New York, and I
Wow.
want to set things up once I'm done studying. So that's what keeps me going. So that relationship might not exist on this earth, but it's still definitely something that I'm very closely connected to.
And lives on through
Exactly.
what you're doing. And really, it's a beautiful thing that you guys set it up together, and now it
Yeah.
continues to live on through that.
Like even the first Stuttering Awareness Day that we hosted was 2 months after his passing, because I
wow.
wanted to kind of keep my promise to him. Um, and it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was something that was the first to be recognized in the region,
Wow.
celebrating the International Stuttering Awareness Day.
This is a bit of a weird one, but I'd like to kind of get you to. I know you guys are inspiring everyone around. What inspires you about each other?
For me, with the Ghanem, it's realizing how important it is to speak out and share our journey, our experience, even when things get tough, even especially when things are tough. Um, the world needs to see more examples of of Ghanam. And one of the ways, and it's not the only way, but one of the ways is to see Ghanam go about his life fully in order to inspire others to be able to go through their life fully. And that's something I'm taking with me today,
Thank you.
honestly.
Really. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. Really.
It's wonderful.
Really, like Farah, really, hearing your story, I really learned a lot. And it sends like a clear message to the whole world that always have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He always, chooses, He always has a good plan for us, and He always chooses the best for His servants, and that we need to, we should never give up. It's basically something normal to face obstacles in the beginning, and it's something normal to go through toughness, but we need to carry on and um, move on and continue basically the message, and to just never give up. So I got really inspired by your story, and Allah
Praise
yarham your brother, and
Yarham.
I'm sure that he's really
Mm.
proud of what you're doing. So
Really
Allah
hope so.
yarhamu wa yaghfir lahu, inshallah.
Ameen, ya Rab. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If there's anything I've learned from this conversation, is that you guys know how to be vulnerable and know how to accept vulnerability. But I want to know how you turn that into passion and power and grit and drive and determination, and how you flip all of that upside down and come with such an energy as well. That's something that I really want to end with. That I think is really important.
See, I would always say, we should always know that, God does not waste our efforts. Every part of life, or every struggle, or every person has a purpose, even if we don't see it in the moment. As you mentioned, Ahmed, like previously, that Ghanem, why are you all, why are you doing all these challenges? And but I want to prove that disability is not in the body; it's in the mind. It's society's, perception. Every challenge for me is a chance to say I can. You know, I have the desire, to fight for fairness and equality. And as I said, I believe um, we can, by taking on challenges and achieving successes, this can inspire others to do the same. I believe we can promote basically a society that values diversity and inclusion for all.
Beautiful.
For me, it's obviously when I hear people's stories, it kind of moves me to offer more and give more, and realizing that small moments can have huge impact on the people around us. But really, what keeps me going is realizing that I've got 3 kids that are walking into tomorrow's reality. And if I'm able to shape a, a more compassionate, understanding, inclusive experience for the society that they will be part of or they are part of, is really what keeps me going. Um, Especially that with stuttering, it is hereditary. So, and it is 4 times more likely to impact boys than girls.
Wow.
So it's something that I really want my children to um, realize that we are all different. We speak differently, we look different, we interact dif- differently. And that has always been on the back of my mind ever since I've become a mother.
Ghanim, Farah, what's the one message, one truth, or one piece of advice that you'd like to pass on to empower the next generation ahead of us?
It would be, have faith in God and in yourself. Um, Believe in the strength that God has placed within you. You were born to basically make a difference. Dream big, stand for others or help others, and make sure to let your voice be heard, and don't be pushed by fear, um, um, and never give up too soon. um, Face your fear. um, have faith in yourself. You're capable on overcoming these obstacles, and always and yeah, just never give up.
Adding on to it, everything that Ghanam said is a saying that keeps coming to mind. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So it's the choice that we're making every day to do the right thing, to do what drives us, to do what inspires us, even when it's challenging. Because nothing great really comes from the comfort zone. And if we want to change how the world is, we need to be part of that change. So it starts with us.
So, guys, what was that moment that shifted everything for you, that really had that inner spark?
It's basically, being able to inspire the world. I especially when I opened my Instagram account, and I decided, when I grew up a bit, I decided, to continue my mother's message, and to prove that, people with disabilities are able to do anything, and that we are here, and we belong. And especially when I opened an Instagram page, I realized, people responded, with basically accepting me with open arms, love. And as I mentioned earlier, it was a simple shift. I stopped focusing, on what I was lacking, and I started, embracing who I am, and which is that I have a story, a voice, and a purpose.
Uh, for me, that inner shift or that shift, that spark was in university when I decided to challenge myself. Up till then, I would have avoided any speaking opportunity, any participation. And then I thought, why not start every presentation with letting people know that I stutter and see how that plays out? So I would start each and every presentation in university with, "Good morning, everyone. My name is Farah Qaissieh, and I stutter. Please bear with me." And that really shifted how my world looks like, because up till then it was fear, 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 fear of what people would think, how they would react, will I be accepted? And that by default kind of shifted the narrative to gauging people's curiosity. They started asking me, what does it mean to stutter? Because most of them wouldn't have ever met a person who stutters. So that kind of drove me to realize that the way we look at things shapes how we act. And that kind of was the foundation of what the stutter community was all about, is let's shift how we view ourselves in order to help others realize that we are not limited by how we speak.
And I say this whenever I find myself speaking to an incredible caliber of, I wouldn't say people, of human beings, because we're all people, but it takes something else to be a good, beautiful human being. And I just love learning so much from these kind of conversations. And it really is an honor and a privilege to have been able to sit down and talk to you
The
guys
honor is ours.
and learn so much from you guys, and to just keep going and keep the mission going. It's incredible, and you're a testament to the human race.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Before we close, we don't just want to end with stories. We want to spark conversation and action, because that's what this series is truly about. Passing the torch to the next generation. From their journey to yours, empowering you to rise every day.